Hi, there we go. Hello, everybody. Whew, it is Monday. Welcome
Yeah,
back to the relationship series. I apologize for being late tonight. We had some technical difficulties, and like the day has just been long. It's been really long to the point where I was just telling Leo I don't even have a glass of wine, and that's completely sad. Like, who does that? I'm literally drinking water and
wow.
working. Maybe I got a friend out there that'll bring me someone. It's hard,
Oh yeah,
but
hard
oh
time.
well. We're here. We're here. I am Lady Wake. Lady Wake has a dual meaning. It is my name, and with the meaning of awakening ladies to ourselves, for the purpose of expansion, healing, transmutation. And my brother Leo is here with me doing a relationship series. You guys hear my mouth all the time. So I'm very honored to have Leo here to give us a perspective around relationships in its many forms. But right now, I think we're on romantic relationships. And we've gone through quite a bit so far. We started with a bang. Why you keep getting in messed up relationships? And so we had two parts to that. If you missed it at all, feel free to go back and see the replay on the Lady Wake page. Today, we're going to move forward. And Leo, I
Yeah,
look, go easy on the people, okay? Because I already know where this can go.
so
So,
far.
not too easy though. People need to know the truth, but let's get it. Today we're going to focus on how relationships are, or how many relationships are governed by society norms or society expectations. And I don't know, I don't remember if you left a cliffhanger last week around
Uh,
this, but if you want to
int-
start.
okay, yeah, I'll start with a brief introduction. Good evening, everybody. I'm Leo. It's another Monday night. Came quick from last Monday, right? Um, so glad to be here again. And like she said, we're talking about how our relationships are governed by societal expectations, societal norms. And as an introduction, I want to start with a question because I hear a lot of people talk about how they're different. Okay, I'm cut from a different cloth. I'm different, like 2 Chainz. I'm one of one. There's only one me. All right. We like to big ourselves up, right? And talk about how we're not the same as everybody else. Now, my question is, are you different? Because from what I see, we're all out here doing the same things that everybody else is doing as far as relationships going and failing all the same, just like everyone else. And I want to know, when it comes to your criteria for mating, is it actually your criteria or is it someone else's criteria? What do you think?
Well, look, yes. So that's huge. That's huge. I think it's gonna be a really good night. We're gonna take our time with it. It's gonna be good because I think and I should back up. Starting with the question is genius because even if a lot of people will disagree just because of where they are right now, but even if you disagree, if you start by asking yourself some questions, some very basic questions without trying to jump on it right away with an answer, just start asking yourself questions. It'll push you into a mode where you're thinking. Even if you automatically say, "I know that's not me," you'll at least think about it. So later things will come up, experiences will come up, memories, things will happen, and you can get a clearer picture of how you make decisions. Because this is what we're talking about right now. How do you make decisions? Leo?
Yes. How you make decisions is correct. And I'm glad you mentioned questions because I've been thinking, sometimes I think we can go back to the simple times, like when you were a child. And you ever met an annoying child that everything you say to them, they say, well, why?
Yeah.
And then you give an answer and they say, why? And they force you to think, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were children, those back when we were smart, in those days where we were curious enough, where we wanted to know how things worked and why.
Yeah.
And we don't do that anymore. We've gone away from asking ourselves why, which is the most important question that we could ask. And these days we just do things without thinking we do it just because we see everybody else doing it. But we don't realize that what we're doing is not working. And we keep trying the same thing with different people thinking that it's going to work. And it still doesn't work. So I wonder what's going on out here.
You wonder?
Wonder.
I think you're going to look. We basically are the definition of insanity most times, just doing the same thing expecting a different result, right? And the idea of the idea that you take yourself wherever you go, I think is missed by a lot of people. So if you're in this one relationship and you're doing things a certain way and you have these expectations or ideas of what right looks like, right and wrong, or what good and bad looks like, and it doesn't work out with that person, and then you go on to the next relationship and the same little sequence happens, just with a different person, maybe different events, but the same basis. The events have the same meaning or the same, foundation over and over and over again. And people still say, it wasn't me. This person has this issue. This person had that issue. These people did this to me. Not realizing that wherever you are as a person, individually, energetically, wherever you are, whoever you are, you take yourself everywhere you go. So if you're in one situation and you decide you're going to leave because you're unhappy, then you jump into another situation. You've taken all that same energy of not wanting things or being unhappy or not being grateful, whatever your thing is. You're taking all that same stuff into that next relationship. And more often than not, even when people go through what they think is a healing process, they feel like they've gotten over the person before, they still go into their next relationship with the same issues because healing has nothing to do with the person you just left. It's all an individual thing. It's an inside job. It's about asking yourself questions. And Lord knows I have a toddler. So the question why comes up all the time. Why or why not? That's usually her. Why not? Why not, Mom? And I'm like, good question, kid. Let me think about that. I don't know. And usually instead of thinking about it, most adults refer to, because that's the way it is. That's because I said so, because tradition says so, because religion says so, because my mama told me that's how I should do it. My dad told me that's how I should do it. And that's all I've known. So if we're looking at all we've known, and we spoke on this on the very first episode, if we're looking at our condition, how we're conditioned to think, or what we're conditioned to see as good or bad, or, right or wrong within relationships, that's all we get. And usually most of our conditioning, even if you grow up in this wonderful big family, most of our conditioning comes from society's idea of what's right or wrong, meaning TV, radio, ads, fake holidays, real holidays too. But really, the stages that we learn just growing up in school, the stages of what's appropriate at this level. By now, you should be kissing somebody. By now, you should be doing this. Like, you should be at second base. You should be at third base. Like, the ideas of what is appropriate as we grow into ourselves and have experiences or relationship experiences outside of our family. What do you think, Leo?
Well, as Lady Ray said, we're gonna somewhat take our time. So I want to introduce this thing, as I mentioned back when we were smart, when we were children. What we don't realize is we think that we were taught, as children. We think that we were learning, but what we don't know is that we're actually being learned. Now, this is what I mean. There are people who study you and me and your behaviors from birth. And I have some breaking news for you. All right. They study us and they see how you behave and they see why you do it. And this is great for the economy that we keep doing the same thing in our relationships. It's great for the divorce lawyers. I'll tell you that. Yeah. It's great for the retailers. Boy. But let me tell you what they discovered while they've been watching us. They discovered exactly what we want as far as relationship goes. And you know what that is? They discovered that we want whatever they tell you that we want. How about that? Oh. Whatever they tell you you want, that's what you want. Now, if you look at as many people, the people that you look up to, the people who write these books, these relationship experts, these dating coaches, ask yourself how many of them are actually successful in their own lives, in their own relationships. How many have been successful? Are we just listening to people with no background checks on them? With no real substance? They're just selling you a book? They're just selling your subscriptions?
Right.
Because we're all listening to the same people. We're all listening to our parents, our friends, our family. But how many of them are on the path that they wanted to be on? That's what I want to know. Go ahead.
Well, I think that's a great question to ask. I also think it's really difficult to do an accurate background check on anybody. And that's why it's so important to go within and figure out who we want to be aside from all the noise and then make decisions based on that. Because people can look like this is the most popular successful relationship. And right now we're talking romantic, but you can look at family relationships and see the same set of issues. But what it looks like in public when somebody is smiling and they seem like they're happy and they're doing things together and they're in pictures and they're in love, or they show up together and, talk about their relationship and they have all these wonderful things to say. And even when they talk about difficulties and they talk about surface stuff that we all know about and, experience, think about, but that doesn't mean they're happy. So it's so hard to do an accurate background check on somebody's happiness. Because most of the people I know in relationships are not for real happy. Like they might have a lot of the elements that they think they want in a partner, but once it's up and going, they're kind of like this can be better. And a lot of that is perception, so I'll give a percentage of feedback to perception, because a lot of that is around perception and people just deciding to be happy versus not. But most of it is people deciding on a partner based on what they've been learned, or I don't know how you said it. They're learning it. I don't know. But they've decided on a partner based on what they've been told they want. So I want this specific, body type, look, hair, and preferences are perfectly fine. Don't get me wrong. Everybody should have preferences. That's great. But once you decide on this stack of preferences and it negates this stack of preferences, which are probably more important, depending on the person, you get to be shallow if you want to. But remember that everything comes with a price. A price is not a negative thing. I don't mean you pay for it literally, I don't mean karma and things like that. I mean, what you give out is what you get in. So if you giving out these expectations of things that will make you emotionally fulfilled, um, and help you to be a better version of yourself, that's what you're going to get. If you're giving out stuff that is purely physical, shallow, and I don't mean shallow in a negative way either. I always have to be very specific or very clear, I should say, because you get to have what you want. You get to be who you want. So that's no big deal. But if that's what you want, then that's what you get. If that's what you expect, if that's what you're looking for, that's what you get. So it's always, it's usually people's experience where they put out things that they want or they think they want, but they think it'll give them that fulfilling experience, which comes with a whole different set of qualities that has nothing to do with what they look like to people on the outside. So that part is difficult. I know it's difficult for me when I see it because you can't tell anybody anything, right? And of course, when you're in something, you're just kind of in it. You know, you're caught up in the rapture, as Anita Baker says. Like you're in it. I don't know.
Yes, that's true. Caught up in the rapture. And the thing is, talking about criteria is just like things like marriage or when you decide, when you want to have children with someone. The thing is, what gives you that criteria? Because what I see is a lot of people deciding that, oh, well, we may as well. Since things like marriage, we may as well have a kid. Um, because we've been living together and we have a kid,
Right.
well, we may as well get married because we're playing married. So we may as well just go to the courthouse or go ahead and plan a wedding.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is, from what I see, we do it at the absolute worst time. We do it at the bottom, the worst part of our relationship when we're at rock bottom. Everything is going wrong. And something in our mind says, hey, you know what to fix this?
Yeah.
Let's get married.
Yeah.
What'll fix this? Let's have a baby.
Yeah.
What's wrong with us?
Yeah. A
We're
lot of things are wrong with us as a unit. But that is so real. Oh my gosh, Joe. It's like you'll be sitting there having the worst experience or the lowest experience in your relationship at that time. And it feels like people see a commercial on TV and they see smiling faces and a new baby, a pamper commercial or something, or they see, don't let it be the holidays. Oh my God. Everything is around relationships and rings and not marriage, just weddings and BS like that. And love based on that. Love based on gifts, love based on children, love based on what they want you to think love is or love is based on. So you go be a consumer or more of a consumer. And it feels like I see it all the time. And I've been there. Like, well, I probably should go back home and call it quits on this one, get a new game plan going. But it feels easier in the moment to make the decision to do something fun. And I don't even know if fun is the right word. To do something different, to do something, I don't know what to call it. You know what I'm trying to say?
I feel like you're trying to say maybe something that's comfortable at the time.
Comfortable. Comfortable is true. Because it feels more comfortable to do what your momentum is heading towards versus doing something that you know is right, but will require sacrifice. So if I were to walk away, then it's like, okay, I'm throwing 3 years of this, me trying to make this thing work down the drain. I have to cut it all the way off, purify, whatever, start over, or I can hang in there and I can try something else, I can do it differently and I can do it focused only on me and not expecting that other person to do the same work that I do or do it the same way. Cause that's a huge problem too. Like because I think one way, we expect the other person to think the same way or to do the same things, to make things work. But, but it's easier. It's easier to just be like, man, throw a gift on it, like they really hurt my feelings, but I'll buy them something, or let's go on vacation. That fixes everything. Cause that makes me feel better. I ain't gonna lie. I'd be like, vacation? Yeah.
Let's
I'm
blow our
down.
income tax return and go on vacation.
Joke. We used to do that. And I'd be like, that's a good idea. I'm down. And then one of them vacations, I turned up pregnant. Was like, what?
Exactly.
How,
And
Sway?
how?
How? This is not what I wanted for my life. But I was not comfortable enough or brave enough, confident enough at the time to do what I really wanted to do because it was just easier to be there. And of course, don't get me talking about other people, friends, and some people in your ear. Oh my God.
Yes. Yes. And the problem is, we always looking over our shoulder at other people's lives. We always looking at other people's expectation for us.
Yeah.
We want other people's salaries. We want other people's spouses. We want other people's jobs, and we want other people's popularity. And that's never going to work for us. Everybody has their own lane. Now, it's okay if you want to get into another lane, but we have to learn how to do it naturally and do it our way
Right.
because you cannot measure your success with someone else's success or so-called success.
Right.
Okay. Like I tell my kids, just because someone makes money doesn't mean they have money.
That's so real.
And most people I know that make money don't have money. And most people I know that have money, they don't make as much money. You know what I mean? Um, but it always looks, better somewhere else outside of our own lives. And we have to learn how to focus inward, as Lady Wake is saying. We have to focus inward and realize what we actually need. And we have to be brave enough to walk away when we're not getting what we need after we communicate it, time after time, and our needs aren't being met.
Right.
That's really the only way.
That's so real. Um, I'm sure we'll get to the point where we talk about needs because I think that's a whole convoluted mess too. Because people, of course, have different needs, but
Right.
we all really have the same need, and that is to be aligned with who we truly are. Because once we do that, clarity is just boundless. It's like you can see, it's so hard to know what your needs are if you're not clear, if you don't have clarity. If you're not connected to your source, whatever that means to you, it's really hard to have clarity. It usually doesn't come. So that portion alone takes you, from basic to expert mode when you're trying to navigate yourself because you're never navigating your person or your spouse or your relationship. You're navigating yourself within a relationship. Within every relationship you have, you're navigating yourself. And people have a really hard time with that. Like it's like people live to try to control other people. It's like that's all they got. I can't or I don't want to take the time and energy to control me. So I'm just going to put all my energy into controlling you and making you feel like it's your responsibility to make me happy. And it feels like people within relationships can't get beyond that barrier.
Let me ask you something. So, do you think if someone had total control over their partner, would they even be happy still?
Ja- that is a great question. Um, and we know the answer is no, because that's not what makes people happy. It's too easy. There's nothing new happening. There's nothing exciting. There's no growth. It's
Right.
boring. We don't like to be bored. We don't. We're human beings. We're here to create. We don't like to be bored. So I know, no. People, and we see it all the time because some people actually have total control. People out here with whole, complete slaves in life, real control over their mate, whoever their person is. And
I've
after
seen
a
it.
while, we just saw it with who was that? People were raving about him for like giving him way too much attention, but R. Kelly,
Oh, Kells, yeah.
all the control, right? But after a while, still bored. I need another one, and another one, and another one, and a different way to control you. I need to
Wow.
control more people. I need to control different things or more things. Like it never ends. It never ends. There's no way to make somebody happy by giving up yourself or giving up control over yourself. It never, ever works.
And that's a good example of not looking inward. Speaking of R. Kelly, because apparently he doesn't have $100,000 to bond himself out right now.
Lord.
But he's sitting in jail, and that's a shame. Uh, so, anyways,
Are you serious? He doesn't have $100,000 to bail himself out?
I'm dead serious. Bail was set at $1 million. I had to pay 10%, 100,000. Still has not bailed out. His attorney says he doesn't have any money. He owes back child support, back rent. He's about to get evicted from his apartment. Listen,
Oh,
he's
okay.
not looking inward. You know what I'm saying? He worried
Well,
about
he has
everything
been for a
else.
long time. And
Right.
that's
Years.
usually how that goes. And it's funny that we're actually talking about R. Kelly because obviously I haven't been following it for real. I just got
Right.
snippets along the way, um, but that is a great example because the truth is usually when somebody is looking so hard to control things and people outside of them, they are trying their damnedest not to pay attention to themselves, not to
Because they're
sit
out
with
of
their
control.
thoughts. They're out of control. Absolutely, they're out of control. They don't want. They so chaotic in their mind, in their hearts. They don't want to pay attention to that. They don't want to look at it. They don't want to see it. So they make themselves busy doing everything else, running around crazy, or there's a list of things. You stupid busy to where you can't breathe, not taking care of yourself, or you're not here all the time, meaning you're high on something. That's a lot of people's remedy, and you can be high on anything: drugs, alcohol, food, attention. You saw these people everywhere around the world. It seems like that's what people need to survive. Attention, social media. You can be high on all kind of stuff, and it'll have the same effect. You get to ignore your own issues.
Exactly. And what I would like to drive home is that we have to keep our eyes and our attention in our own households. Okay, never mind what your neighbor's doing, what your neighbor thinks, what your friends are doing. You have to tailor your life, including your relationship, to what fits you guys.
Yeah.
You know, nobody can really come in and tell you what's going to work for you. For the most part, you have to figure out what who you are,
Right.
as you put it, who you are, and eventually who your partner is as well. And you guys have to make it work however you guys fit together, because everybody has different strengths and weaknesses, and there's nobody who can tell you from the outside looking in what you need to be doing. You
Exactly.
have to figure that out.
Exactly. I don't care who it is. My mama
Absolutely.
included. Nobody knows.
No, nobody but you.
Sister say he's out. Azine say he out. Yes. Okay. I'm looking at the comments here because um, on Facebook because I couldn't see my chat function isn't working over here. So if y'all have questions, don't hesitate to put it out there. I see y'all though. Hey, yep, we got to stay in our own lane. We have our own processes, and you can have different processes and be together. People kill me with that. Like we're different. It'll never work. How well is it working with somebody that you're just alike? Oh my gosh. It's
boring.
exhaustingly boring. Nobody likes that. It
Sounds
doesn't work. I shouldn't say that because nobody is exactly alike. No two people are exactly alike. So you can have a lot of things that are similar and it works. But in general, when people are in it for that reason,
right.
it doesn't work usually.
That's true. Normally a bad formula.
Right. But there's usually another way to not pay attention to yourself, to not pay attention to your growth, to not be with you, but to have something else to focus on that maybe looks like you, like it mirrors me, so I'm winning. You're not. You're not. Because nothing mirrors you directly or fully. It's impossible. We're as unique as a snowflake. But as a mass consciousness, after we've been learned or
Right.
taught what we should think or how we should think of what's right or wrong, now we all start to look alike and think alike. Speaking of looking
Yeah.
alike, I can't let this part go, Joe, because we
Here
have
we
to
go.
you have to comment on this. So, I'm all for physical beauty, but when the idea of physical beauty is one thing, that's not right. When there is a standard, because the only way we thrive is with diversity. If we're not different, we're losing. We're dying out. So that's how we thrive. So it makes no sense whatsoever that everybody wants the same kind of body. Everybody think they need a big booty now and surgery for whatever reason, whether it
Yeah.
is to enhance something or take away. They want to look, or how they say it, be snatched. They want to have the same kind of hair and like the same kind of eyebrows and shit. I'm confused. What is this, Joe?
Well, that's exactly what I said. You're being told what you like instead of figuring out what you like on your own. And I see it a lot of times in, Hollywood. They'll give you a celebrity and say, oh yeah, this is the sexiest man in the world. This is the sexiest woman in the world.
Right.
And everybody's like, oh yeah, I want somebody that looks like that. You know what I mean? You got Denzel or Beyonce. And then, you have everybody trying to look like these people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you see somebody talking about, oh yeah, I got this girl look like Beyonce. And I'd be like, you know what I mean?
Like, why would that come
Where?
out of your mouth? Wowzers. That's true,
Yes,
though.
and a lot of us, we have this self hatred thing, especially for darker skinned people, is what I've noticed amongst my peers and other men. At least, I mean, I can't really speak for the women because I don't know. But as far as men, they will grade the lighter skinned women on a curve. You know what I mean? She can look rough, and they'll be like, "Oh man, look at her, she bad." And I see her and I'm like, wait, where? You know what I'm saying?
I
They're
swear.
like, oh man, look at that red bone, look at that yellow bone. I'm like, what else? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's something that we're taught though. We're taught to love a certain, skin tone, a certain grade of hair we're taught to love.
Right.
And then denigrate, downgrade, other grades of hair, which is absolutely ridiculous. Uh, Stupid.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're too busy chasing something. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're chasing this dream, that you never have because it's not your dream. It's a dream that was given to you.
Say that. It is not your dream. These are
No.
not your decisions. And let's say it was your decision. Let's say you're choosing based on something you want. You always have to ask yourself, why aren't you happy?
Why?
Why isn't it working?
Exactly.
Like those seem like real surface questions, but they can go as deep as you want them to. What is it that you're missing? What is it that you're not allowing yourself to look at? because usually we're looking at the other person, but it's an inside job. So what are you not looking at about you? And usually we're not looking at the fact that we're not making decisions based on what we really want because we don't know what we want. We learn certain things, we learn what we should want as we grow up, and then we're confused because we're chasing something that isn't original to us. In many cases, that's not real at all. I cannot. With
It's
these,
not,
with
it's
these
not real.
barbers.
And it goes back to asking the question why. I think we will learn a lot about ourselves if we ask ourselves why. I remember when I was a teenager and I was in the car back home in Chicago with a mentor of mine, and we saw a Mercedes Benz in the lane next to us. And I was like, I always wanted a Mercedes. And he said, why? And I was just like, because I like the way it looks. He got me. I couldn't argue. It made me realize I liked it because it was a popular vehicle.
Right.
Because I'm told that since it's a luxury vehicle, that's what I should like.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if we think about it, that's why we like a lot of things. Look at our designer brands.
Yeah.
Why do we like them? Does it really look better than the other brands? Or, is it really worth our whole paycheck because we like it so much?
Some people so
You know, uh,
I feel you.
or is this an extension of our self worth?
Right.
You know what I mean? And, it's a never ending cycle. We're just a hamster running on that wheel in a cage. You know what I mean? Going nowhere. What are we really chasing? We're chasing happiness. But where is it? Like Lady Lake said, where is it?
You say it's an extension of our self worth, and it just made me think like when you go home to that person you're with, or even if you don't live together, when you settle down and talk to them or interact with them, ask yourself like, is this something that's serving me? That's the right word. Is this relationship serving me, or is this an extension of my self-worth? I love that because people will be in situationships forever and ever and ever as an extension
Yeah.
of their self-worth because they're not meeting their own goal. They're not
Yeah.
reaching their own heights as an individual. And so they'll have this arm piece, so to speak. And I know that
Yeah.
has a lot of different connotations, but for lack of a better word, they'll have this arm piece or this body in the bed next
Right.
to them, or this body just to have on, when they call or whatever, and have no substance.
None.
And substance is relative. So everybody has a different idea of what substance is, but that's your question to answer. That's your kind of road to go on internally in your mind and your heart. Am I going somewhere with this or not? Because I'm thinking by now, and I don't care if you have been in a relationship forever or if you've had a bunch of failed relationships, everybody has something to offer. So at this point, once you start asking yourself questions, you need to figure out if you can be honest with you or not. Because if you can't, that is an automatic no for being in a relationship with somebody. If you can't be honest with you about what you're doing, about why you're in something, because most people are just taking advantage of somebody else. I shouldn't say most people. That's not nice. A lot of people are taking advantage of each other in different ways within relationships, and nobody's gaining anything. So I saw
I
you
really
walk up.
believe that a lot of us, we have our partners as a placeholder until you find what you really want
Yeah,
or what you think you really want.
yeah, that's
You
so
know,
real.
and one issue is that a lot of people, you're going to have to learn how to be alone for however long is necessary until you can figure things out. A lot of us are addicted to relationships. We have to be in one,
Yo,
no matter the cost. I gotta have that woman. I gotta have that man. All right. And that, that gets us nowhere but more confusion, more chaos. All right. Because we haven't figured ourselves out. You see something in the comments?
Yeah, I'm looking. Look like Pops and jumping in here.
Said you see Pops in there?
Yep. He was saying all perceptions are secondhand experience. The only exception is if you are the one creating the reality. Yep. We touched on that.
Factual.
It's real. So real. And the idea of, and you know what, everybody is on a different or at a different point in their journey. And I always like to stress that it is okay wherever you are. So wherever you are in your journey is perfectly fine. You know, you'll get there eventually. And there meaning wherever you want to be. Everybody gets there eventually, even if you have to croak to get there. It's all right. You'll find it. Figure it out. But to me, at this point in life, having a placeholder is so irritating to my soul. It's like a waste of life on many levels. And there's no such thing as a waste of life. But you know what I mean. Dramatic, but true. Like, I feel like you're wasting my time. Or this would waste my time because it's not the other person. It's me wasting my time. And so to not do what I really want to do, meaning not choose the person I want to be with and be with them for the reasons I want to be with them. And most times not even caring what they're thinking about because look, it's not my problem or job or concern about what you want. I can't make your dreams come true. I'm not going to try. Been there, done that, over it, never doing it again. I can't make you a better person if that's not what you want for yourself. I can't I can't be your arm piece because or you know your bed warmer because that's just not where I am right now. And it took and it still takes some real life introspection to say on today in this moment when I'm presented with this opportunity or this question or this invite, is this something I want to do right now? Like right now.
Right.
And it takes that for me every day. I have to make a decision over and over again of what I want to do, what makes me feel good, what I don't want to do. Because if I'm not feeling elevated by it, I don't care if I've done it 1,000 times before. If I'm not feeling elevated by it today, I'm good. Nope.
Yes.
Because
I'm glad.
I'm done wasting my time. That's me.
Well, that's you and me both. I'm glad you brought it up because if one thing we can agree on is self elevation is very important.
Yeah.
Before you can lift anything else around you, you have to be lifted yourself. And you know, it's whatever it takes. We cannot continue to feel obligated to other people. You know, family members, friends. We can't be into people pleasing because that never gets anyone anywhere. Okay, you have to have peace in yourself, peace in your household.
Yes.
Okay, even if that means shutting everybody out. I don't care if everybody's talking about, oh, you don't hang out like you used to, you don't do this, you don't do that. Oh, you're a punk, you're a sucker. If you're happy, stay happy.
Right.
Right. You have to. And if you're unhappy, people pleasing, because that never gets anyone anywhere. Okay, you have to have peace in yourself, peace in your household. Okay, even if that means shutting everybody out. I don't care if everybody's talking about, oh, you don't hang out like you used to. You don't do this, you don't do that. Oh, you're a punk, you're a sucker. If you're happy, stay happy.
Right. If you're happy, stay happy. If you're not happy, get happy.
Yeah.
And get happy with something that is based in you. And in other words, get happy with you, and then everything else will fall into place. In other words, don't worry if somebody else is happy with you or not, because that's not your problem or your job.
Right.
And in other words,
In other words,
say no when you want to say no. Say yes when you want to say yes.
yes.
Just saying. For those of y'all who like quotes, let your cold be cold and your hot be hot. Just saying.
I
Ask
love
yourself questions that help you get to the truth and practice being true with yourself. And then it'll help you practice being true with others. Because anything in between just leaves you feeling like you've wasted your time.
yes.
And there are many levels of that, but that's the best way I can say it right now.
Absolutely.
Just saying.
And you on no one else's timeline. Okay. Whether it's your career, your, finances, your relationship, your timeline should be your own. And no one else should dictate that. All right. And you have no reason to feel down or insecure about where you are because everyone has to start somewhere. And I remember I was listening to this lecture by Dr. John Henrik Clark. If you guys know, maybe everyone hasn't heard of him, but he's pretty much a historian. And he said something that was crazy. He said, "What is it that makes you think that you can't make a car?" And then he said, "The first person to ever make the first car had never seen one previously." And I was just like, wow, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You never thought about that.
Yes.
We always want to have our doubts about ourselves and think that we can accomplish something. And even if you don't see the achievements that you want to reach, it does not mean you cannot reach them.
Right.
Someone's going to reach it. It may as well be you.
May as well be you. I love it. I love it so much. And it goes back to day one. Even if you haven't seen a successful relationship, don't mean you can't have it. Or the kind of relationship you want. Yes. We'll get to that later too. It doesn't mean you can't have it and it be successful. I'm just saying. Yeah.
True.
I think timeline is huge. And you might have, as usual, I don't know where you come off with these cliffhangers, but I like it. So you might have set us up for our next discussion, because timelines are a huge deal for people around relationships. People have timelines for when they're supposed to start dating, when they're supposed to get married, if that's a thing, when they're supposed to have kids. Then they have timelines for their kids. They got timelines for their parents. They got timelines for their siblings and their friends. I'm like, what the what? I heard a comedian. Okay, y'all know I love comedy. So I was listening to a comedian, and she like, why do all married women want to get all their friends married? Like they want their single friends to be married. It's like some miserable everybody get married club. Like, hey, if I got to get married and have these kids and be in this mess, I'm going to need you in this mess with me. Like, you got 2 years. Get it together. We all going to be miserable together. Sure, this is a sisterhood. It was so funny to me because it's true on many levels. I've had the experience. And people are like, hey, well, I had the experience because I was the last one to have a kid. Of my inner circle. People were like, what's wrong with you? It's time. Now you're getting old. I'm like, I'm not even 30. What are you talking about? But they're like, hey, we got kids. You need to get with the program. It's hilarious, but it's real. And so I think we can talk about that a little more next week. And then we'll move on to some other things. But we're going to start off next week talking about timelines and where we get this mess from. Because that whole idea is rooted in some very basic misunderstandings of who we are or who we can be. It's like we choose to deteriorate ourselves based on the idea of time, which is infinite. Why?
Infinite.
Why come? Okay. All right, y'all. Look, let me see. Let me make sure nobody got any questions. Leo, do you have some closing remarks?
Oh man. Well, if I did, it would be a broken record at this point. We're talking about relationships being governed by societal expectations or societal norms, and my point tonight is to govern your own relationship and not let your relationship be governed by anyone outside of you guys. Okay, it belongs to you guys and you only. And only you guys know what works for you and stick to that.
I love it. I love it. Next week, next Monday, we'll be back right here, same place, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll start, and we're gonna take it a little further on timelines for a few minutes, and then I ain't gonna tell you today. You'll see next week. We got some more stuff coming for you. But thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a blast as usual. Send in your questions, comments. If you have them, feel free to message me. And if something comes up that we're able to answer, we will be sure to do that. Until next week, y'all. Peace and love.
Peace, guys.